The water rises 4 feet in 4 seconds. Inside one of Galveston's sturdiest houses, 50 people crowd together, certain the walls will hold. By morning, 32 are dead, among them the forecaster's own wife. 9 years earlier, that man had written that no hurricane strong enough to destroy this island could exist. He was about to be proven catastrophically wrong in what remains the deadliest natural disaster in United States history. Galveston sits on a narrow barrier island off the Texas coast, barely above the Gulf of Mexico. By 1900, it's the 4th largest city in Texas, its harbor among the busiest ports in the nation. Locals call the Strand District the Wall Street of the Southwest, but the whole city sits on little more than a sandbar. Galveston's population has surged from about 29,000 in 1890 to nearly 38,000 by 1900, among the highest per capita incomes in the country. Prosperity breeds confidence. Residents have weathered storms before and survived with ease, so most assume any future hurricane would be no different. A quarter century earlier, Indianola had been leveled by 2 hurricanes, and most of its people never returned. Isaac Klein, head of Galveston's Weather Bureau office, had written in 1891 that a hurricane strong enough to seriously damage the island was virtually impossible. The seawall was never built. On August 27th, a ship far out in the Atlantic, east of the Windward Islands, encounters an area of unsettled weather. It is the first sign of what will become the deadliest hurricane in American history. Over the next few days, the storm drifts west-northwest, crosses the Leeward Islands, and enters the Caribbean Sea. The storm crosses the Dominican Republic and Haiti, weakening slightly, then strikes Cuba near Santiago de Cuba on September 3. In Havana, Father Reese Gangoite studies the sky and concludes the storm is heading toward Texas. The Weather Bureau disagrees, expecting it to curve toward Florida instead. Weather Bureau Director Willis Moore has cut off telegraph reports from the Cuban observatory, a fallout from tensions after the Spanish-American War. He has ordered local offices to seek his approval before issuing storm warnings. Cuban forecasters keep insisting the storm is heading toward Texas. Washington isn't listening. By September 6th, the storm has entered the Gulf of Mexico and rapidly intensified over its warm waters. On September 7th, it peaks at an estimated 145 miles per hour, Category 4 strength. That same day, the Weather Bureau finally realizes the storm isn't curving toward Florida. It's driving straight for Texas. On the morning of September 8th, the sky over Galveston is only partly cloudy. Swells roll in, but few residents see cause for alarm. Some evacuate across the bridges, most don't bother. Isaac Klein later claims he rode the beach on horseback warning people, though no other survivor has ever confirmed it. By evening, hurricane-force winds arrive. Storm surge and tides creep into Galveston since morning. At the island's highest point, the ground stands just 8.7 feet above sea level. The surge behind this storm will top 15 feet. Between 3 and 7:30 that evening, the water keeps climbing. Then, within seconds, it rises another 4 feet. Just after 6:15 that evening, the Weather Bureau's anemometer clocks 100 miles per hour before the wind rips it off the building. Observer John Blagden stays anyway, reading the barometer by hand until it breaks 2. His last reading is the lowest barometric pressure ever recorded in the country to that point. Isaac Klein's own home, one of the sturdiest houses in the Beach District, shelters 50 people that night. It doesn't hold. The house collapses, killing 32 of the 50 inside, including Klein's wife. Survivors report bricks, timbers, and slate flying through the air, evidence the true winds are stronger than any instrument recorded. 2 days after the storm, survivor Caroline Richardson writes to her brother in Michigan from Alvin, Texas. "We have just passed through a terrible hurricane that killed little Ned and robbed us of house and home," she tells him. Her house collapsed around her, the kitchen first, then the barn, then the roof itself, and her family spent 4 hours lying in an open field as the wind kept blowing. Not everyone finds shelter. A relief train from Beaumont reaches the coast as the ferry to Galveston becomes impossible to run. 10 passengers reach the Point Bolivar lighthouse, joining 190 residents already inside. Every person in that lighthouse survives the night. 85 others, still aboard the train when the surge overtakes it, do not. At St. Mary's Orphans Asylum, 10 sisters care for 93 children. As water rises, they move the children into the sturdier dormitory and have them sing to stay calm. When collapse looks certain, each sister ties herself to 6 or 8 children with a clothesline, refusing to let go. Only 3 children survive. None of the sisters do. By the next morning, Galveston is unrecognizable. Every home carries damage. 3,636 are destroyed outright, leaving about 10,000 people homeless out of a population under 38,000. A wide, arc-shaped swath of the city, nearly 1,900 acres, has been wiped clean. No one will ever know the exact death toll. Estimates range from 6,000 to 12,000, though the number most cited is 8,000, roughly 1 in 5 people on the island. Most drowned or were crushed by the wreckage of their own homes. It remains the deadliest natural disaster in United States history. The storm doesn't stop at Texas. Weakening but still potent, it races across the Midwest and Northeast, killing more people in Ohio, Illinois, New York, and Massachusetts. By September 12, it strikes Ontario with hurricane-force winds. Off Newfoundland, sinking ships add dozens more deaths, by some estimates over 200. With bridges and telegraph lines destroyed, Galveston is cut off from the world. On September 9th, survivors sail across the bay, reaching a telegraph office in Houston early the next morning. Their message to the governor and President McKinley is blunt: the city of Galveston is in ruins. They report roughly 500 dead. Word spreads fast. Clara Barton, 78, and founder of the American Red Cross, arrives with a relief team, her last disaster response before retirement. Donations pour in from across the country and abroad. New York alone sends more than $134,000. Within a week, Galveston receives roughly $1.5 million. In the weeks after, thousands live in army tents along the shore, so many that people call it the White City on the beach. Others build homes from salvaged storm lumber. By March 1901, more than 1,000 new cottages have gone up, with over 1,100 homes repaired. Galveston refuses to rebuild vulnerable. In 1902, residents vote overwhelmingly to fund a seawall 17 feet high, running more than 10 miles along the coast. Engineers raise much of the city, pumping in about 15 million cubic yards of dredged sand to lift entire neighborhoods. In 1915, another storm tests the new seawall, its surge reaching up to 12 feet. This time, 53 die, a fraction of the thousands lost 15 years before. Galveston never reclaims its place as the region's port. Investors turn to Houston instead. Later storms, Carla, Alicia, Ike, would test that seawall again. A century later, Hurricane Laura would trace an almost identical path across the Gulf.